Welcome and Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the Sports Geek replay series, highlighting some of the best episodes of the past 12 to 18 months. Before we get back into regular programming, what I wanted to do is to replay a Play Media replay series. I've set up Play Media. You can find out more about Play Media at weareplaymedia.com. It's specifically looking at the world of video games, gaming, streaming, and esports. I've set it up with my co-host in this series, Chris Derrick. So if you're interested in the world of gaming, you obviously know if you've been listening to the podcast, I now have an esports team and been working with Gravitas over the past 2 years. And Play Media is an expansion of those efforts into the world of video games. So if you're interested in the world of video games, over the next 5 days, we're going to be replaying the video series. You can find it on the Play Media YouTube channel, where we sort of dive in on the world of video games, gaming, streaming, esports from a marketer's and a sponsorship point of view. So hopefully you enjoy these episodes. We're going to return with regular Sports Geek programming in very shortly. But thank you for listening, and this is Play Media Replay. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Play Media. We are Play Media, your gaming growth partner. My name is Sean Callanan. I'm here with my co-host and co-founder, Chris Derrick. Chris, welcome to the show.
G'day, Sean. It's great to start this podcast off with you.
It is. So what we want to do every week is help explain the world of video games and gaming to marketers who are looking to enter in the space. We're going to do that with a couple of segments. It's going to evolve over time. But let's get started with our segment off the top. What caught my eye? Chris, tell us why Lil Nas wants to perform a concert inside a video game.
Yeah, not just one concert, Sean, but over the weekend he performed 4 concerts across the 2 days, total viewing of 33 million people tuning in. So what these games do, Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox as well, they've got such big audiences globally, and they're able to aggregate them all in one spot that allows musicians and their labels to really reach that large audience in a way that they haven't been able to, particularly with no live events during COVID, and put on a really different, unique, highly produced visual performance that introduces their music to a new audience at scale.
And the thing is, we were just looking at the Lil Nas vision there. You come from a music background. How is that? It's really just that they're the new age stadiums, effectively, for the world of music. Previously, 20 years ago, you were booking out, big stadiums and big events, and now there's these digital stadiums that music platforms like Roblox are providing.
If you go to see Taylor Swift or U2 or any sort of big stadium concert, the light show and the visual shows are amazing, but you're still limited in terms of some of that technology and the environment that you're in. But really using the graphical engines of computer games, you're totally unlimited, and we're going to see more and more of these, and you're going to see some really interesting bespoke ways that people bring their music, their personalities, their brands across into the gaming world.
So that actually opens up another segment. What we want to try to do on this show is help explain the different parts of the world of gaming, video games, and the like. And so we've discussed Roblox. So this fits perfectly, a perfect segue for the explain the game. So Roblox, can you explain and give us a bit of an overview of what Roblox is for marketers potentially interested?
Yeah, I think if you look at the footage there, it looks a little bit like Minecraft. It's probably most commonly compared to Minecraft. Definitely has some similarities. One of the things that's different is it's technically not just a game, it's a platform. Millions of users creating their own games and their own content that others can come on and play. They can purchase that content. They can change their avatars. They can play different worlds, mini games, all things like this. It's generally got a very gender neutral type of audience. Skews slightly younger. My 8-year-old likes to play it on his iPad. Yep. You can play it on your console, on your PC. Skews up into the older brackets as well. But sort of a really user-generated focused platform that reaches a really large-scale audience.
And so, from a marketer point of view, like you said there, it's more a platform than a game. So, like we discussed with Little Naz having a concert there, it now becomes a new activation space where previously you might have activated at a festival or an event of somewhat. Again, this is a platform space that brands can say, well, we want to activate in this space, whether it is building out our own games on the platform. Is that how I guess that part of the advice that you're giving brands around a platform and a game like Roblox?
Yeah, look, I mean, we all know 2020 has been a tough year for the events industry, and whether that's consumer events like PAX, where people would come to test and try out video games, or some of the bigger esports events like Melbourne Esports Open, they've been impacted the same way that concerts and sporting events, all those other events have been impacted. One of the things that's been really resilient about gaming is that you've been able to have these events happen in these virtual spaces. So it's like you say, it's a really great opportunity for brands to build a connection with their audiences in these spaces.
So what we want to do each and every week when we do one of these shows is tackle a big question and sort of dive in on some of the questions that we're helping brands understand, but also dive in and a little bit of a depth on that. And so for this segment, for this week's show, our big question is really the genesis of why Play Media started. Why should brands get involved in gaming? So I guess for you, first of all, how do you start answering that question?
Look, I think there's a piece about the size and the scale of gaming. It's absolutely massive, but really, from a brand and a marketing point of view, gaming is where culture is set. It's where sports stars like Ben Simmons you see on screen there, or the musicians like Little Naz. It's where fashion labels are getting involved, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. There's lots and lots of brands trying to activate in this space. Joe Barnes is the head of sports digital marketing at Bud Light, and that's kind of really his key phrase for me is gaming is where culture is being set. So that's my number one reason.
And as you said there,
what do you think, Sean?
Oh, I mean, as you said there, like you've got the Ben Simmons FaZe Clan collaboration on a magazine like Slam, which is this mashup of sport and music and gaming, and it's sort of where everything is overlapping. The middle one there is one that is where esports and gaming is actually leading the way. We've got a picture there of the NBA trophy in a Louis Vuitton case. And so it's a part of that sponsorship deal. But what people probably don't know if you're watching is that this actually started from League of Legends. So Riot Games, who are the publisher for League of Legends, did the first deal with Louis Vuitton. And part of that activation was to put the Summoners trophy, the Summoners Cup, into a Louis Vuitton case. And so the NBA followed suit going, well, that's a really great activation. And so this is where the example of, in some cases, gaming and video games overall are leading the way.
Yeah, and the top personalities in gamers are celebrities these days. People might know the name Ninja. I think he featured in 4 Super Bowl ads last year. But Australia is creating and growing its own talent as well. Elliot Watkins there, commonly known as Muselk's got a massive following on YouTube. It's obviously financially rewarding for him. He can buy himself a nice house, but to get a write-up in Domain, which is normally the place where you'd see soap stars or politicians or sports stars written about, there is mainstream cultural relevance now for gaming as well.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, it just reinforces that point. 10, 15 years ago, fans were following, sports stars, film stars and the like, and now they are growing up following people like Elliot or Milsuk, as people would be saying. I keep stuffing up his name, but that's exactly what I'm going to keep doing.
That's a pretty good go.
Yeah. And so then if people are starting to identify that, and that's what we're seeing, you want to talk about some of the brands that have already got in early and made some early lessons. We've got a graphic there, which is the put as many logos on a slide graphic that we use, but it does show a variety of different, I guess, segments and brands that are starting to get into the world of gaming.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think you've got your classic brands, your endemic ones from a gaming point of view. The guys that are making the PCs, the headsets, the mice, the keyboards, etc., and they're really prolific in this space. But your FMCG brands, your QSRs, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, Domino's, Snitz Chicken have been involved here. The beverage space, whether that's Red Bulls, Dare Ice Coffees, Coca-Cola, and one of the things sort of at a global scale we've seen, we're yet to see it here really in Australia, is the auto companies.
Yep.
Mercedes been active in this space. A lot of the other brands, Nissan, Kia, Toyota. I think it's only a matter of time before they're here.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. Like, you're obviously having the early adopters being the PC and the hardware, like you said, and then the traditional gamer brands, which might be the Red Bulls and the like, that sort of fit the automatic persona that we have, and we'll talk a little bit about the different types of personas. But it's the long tail piece when you're seeing a brand like Louis Vuitton, Mercedes, and those bigger brands that you're like, hang on, they don't fit that automatic gaming persona, and they're really having that long view of the segment. That's a bit that I guess interests me. That's part of the reason why we started Play Media. Where's your take of that longer tail piece that brands have to take when entering this space?
Yeah, there's probably 2 points to that. I mean, I think first off, the audience is an attractive audience, and we're going to break that down in a little bit. But they're also hard to reach through some of the traditional forms of media. Yep. They don't watch a lot of broadcast TV. They're certainly not buying print. They're running ad blockers online. So having a really consistent strategy, I think, the second point is that you've got to have an ongoing presence in this space. The buzzword that everybody likes to use is obviously authenticity, but you have to engage, I think, across multiple different platforms, and do that over time to really build up that resonance. And one of the kind of common things that people say about the gaming audience is that they're really keen for brands to get involved and show value, and that's true. And that might be buying media like pre-roll on Twitch. It could be doing sponsorships of esports tournaments or leagues, working with influencers across the streaming platforms. Back when we can get back to events, being active and present at events as well. All of those things, together, what's right for one brand isn't right for another. You don't have to do all of those things, but I think utilizing multiple channels in a consistent way over time in this space really does build up that relevance and that engagement with the audience.
And I think it's really important to have that multifaceted approach, because if you just go, oh, we've done a gamer-styled video, TVC, and we're going to put it on all the channels. Yes, it might get some good buzz. It might get some good Twitter mentions and some traction. But it's that extra steps of doing some engagement with some streamers or doing some stuff with some teams, activating at the events that helps the gamers realize that the brand is invested in the scene. And so, I think it's super important, and we have to hit our quota of saying authenticity at least 3 times every time we do a show.
Yeah, and I think for me, the brand comes in, it might do something once, it might run one sort of campaign and then exits the space. How can you measure that and see that you're getting an ROI on it, particularly when you're doing a sort of a brand awareness type campaign? One of the things that Play Media really focused on is that attribution, is that return on investment, and the ways that we see the brands are getting the best return is that consistent multi-channel approach.
Yeah, and the thing is that, and again, part of our focus is helping brands get that data, because it's still a new and developing space. And so the ad technology that has developed over the last 10 to 15 years is still moving into the world of gaming and streaming. So it's a little bit like the audit that's currently happening around influencers in the social media space, more data and more attribution around what they're doing. That's still happening in the space. So it's exciting as more of that information comes about and more of that data comes about. So brands will be able to understand, we should be working with that streamer or that team or that broadcast or that event to better connect with gamers.
Yeah, and Sean, I think, getting some of the data out of some of the key platforms is not as easy as it is in traditional types of media as well. So that's certainly an area where we can help.
Definitely. I mean, we've long held a view around digital platforms is trying to figure out what is a view across all the different platforms. Obviously, gaming offers up a new platform, which is Twitch. For those who don't know, obviously owned by Amazon, who've got a little e-commerce business in the back end there. So they've got some things that we've got to tackle. One of the things we do want to tackle on this show is busting some myths. So a lot of times there's a lot of education pieces that we want to do to help people understand the world of gaming, and sometimes it is uneducating people and busting myths on certain things. So this segment, what we're going to do is we're going to put up a myth and we're just going to smash it to smithereens. So for this week's myth we're going to bust is only teenage boys play video games. Chris, you have the floor.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's a pretty long-held assumption about video games, right? But it's really out of date. We just saw a YouGov report come out a couple of weeks ago. 18.4 million Australians now playing video games. That's up from about 12 million at the start of the year. So we can thank lockdown, I think, for helping drive some of that growth. But really, when you're talking about 18 million, you're talking 70% of the population. We can thank the rise in mobile gaming. In obviously the consoles are very popular as well.
I think it's also how wide gaming is, because again, we're looking at the picture there of our teenage boy yelling at a PC screen, but gamers are console gamers, are mobile gamers, and that's what does widen it, and it does offer some opportunities to discuss the different types of gamers, and we've got some personas here that sort of fill it out more than the hardcore enthusiast that potentially everyone thinks of as a gamer.
Yeah, I mean, your hardcore gamer, your online gamer, your hardware enthusiast, some of those do speak to some of that stereotype, and that persona absolutely does exist, and it is one of the core ones for some of those brands, like the beverage brands, the QSRs wanting to get involved. But as you say, gaming is so broad. The average or age is someone in their 30s, and it's just as likely to be a female as it is a male. The time filler is a really key one. Is that somebody who's playing a game while they should be watching an ad? Is it someone who's just boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea and they want to start playing a game? There's different ways to engage them, different mechanics, different channels, and they're all really important, but there are different segments there that you can relate and tie into your other more broader marketing offering as well. It doesn't just have to be about going for the hardcore gamer.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is I guess some context around some of these numbers is that this is the broad overview of gamers overall. As we discussed earlier with Roblox, depending on the title, depending on the game you're talking about, it does shift in demographic and gender bias and those kind of things. So, but the thing is we're just offering and giving an understanding of that wider picture of the gaming scene.
Yeah, and look, I mean, for our listeners and our viewers out there who want to learn more about the different types of personas that are available, we can go into a lot more detail about these.
So that is, hopefully we've busted that myth. Yes, teenage boys play video games, but so do other people. And I think both of us, when we're speaking back in, the normal days when you're speaking in front of live people, you ask people to put your hand up if you play games, and then you explain what the different games are, and you say, have you played Candy Crush in the last 12 hours? A few more hands sheepishly go up. The last thing we want to do is we have a weekly email where we do share both this show and a few articles that we read, and it's really the advice that we give. If you want to start understanding the world of gaming, it's start reading some of the trade press, start understanding what the publishers are doing, how brands are getting involved, because there's a lot of things happening both here in Asia Pacific region, but also in the US and Europe on what brands are doing in the space. And what we're going to do in Play Media Insights is share a couple of those. So I wanted to kick this one off.
So, Sean, Pokimane is one of the most popular streamers in the world. She's certainly the most popular female streamer on Twitch. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this story and why it's important?
Yeah, so Pokimane, as you just said, a really big streamer. She made the decision to cap her donations at $5. And so for those of you who don't know, from a Twitch ecosystem point of view, you can follow a streamer and subscribe to them, and on a monthly basis you're paying them $5 or whatever you want to pay them, and it's effectively like a subscription, like Netflix and the like. And so that's how a streamer gets its revenue. And then on top of that, if you feel nice and you feel good and you just want to donate to them to say thank you, effectively like tipping your barista at a coffee shop, you can do that. And so people sometimes would really love what Pokimane's doing and tip her $100. And so she pretty much went to the point of, I actually don't need the money. I'm doing well enough with my streaming revenue and my brand partnerships. I want to support other streamers and effectively say, hey guys, I'm going to cap my donations and push it the other way. And so it was one coming from a place of good, where she wanted to support other streamers and move that money around to the up and coming streamers. But it was quite funny that, I guess, the feedback, because the other part of it was streamers sort of pushing back, going, "Oh, hang on, I don't want to cap my donations. My donations are really important to me." So it created a little bit of a furor, but it just gives, I guess, from our point of view, it just shows, I guess, the how invested the viewers on Twitch are. Like the fact that they are paying, $5 to $25 or more a month for one creator, which is, counter to every other, I guess, segment, as all these new streaming services pop up and people go, who's going to pay $15 for a new streaming service? Well, we've got, there's gaming fans and streaming fans that are spending upwards of $30, $40 to support their streamers. So it was just an interesting, I guess, from my point of view, interesting to get into the streamer ecosystem. I mean, what's your thoughts sort of looking at the streaming ecosystem and the fans and how they react to news like this?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the first thing is, we talk to marketers a lot about Twitch from an insights point of view. We feel people are quite familiar with YouTube, with Facebook, how to use it as a marketing tool. Twitch is a little bit different, and it's some of the ad units are the same as what you can buy on those other platforms, but as you say, the ecosystem of how it operates is quite unique. It's really important to understand it, because the number of hours watched on live streaming video games in Australia on Twitch is a lot higher than the other channels, and the number of streamers that are streaming on Twitch is a lot higher as well. So really understanding the ecosystem, understanding the different streamers, the games they stream, and their different audiences is really important. So this is a good example of someone who's got enormous scale, who's at the sort of cutting edge of some of these things, and as with everything, that'll have follow-on effects for everyone else as well. So it's an important one.
And I also think it shows, I mean, it is the two-way nature of Twitch. Like it's not a broadcast. Like Pokimane is not going on there and I am performing and you are watching. She is actually having a conversation. So it is very much the lean in content as opposed to, lean back, I'm going to click and watch something on the big screen. Like it's that backwards and forwards. So it's something to keep in mind when you're looking at Twitch numbers and viewer numbers. It's like, well, if you've got 1,000 people watching at once, they are watching and they're engaged, in the product. And so it's, it's very, that's where it's hard to compare, TV viewership and Twitch viewership, because TV viewership aren't that engaged.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. That's right.
And the last one, which is probably, not probably, but is massive news at the minute, is the next gen consoles. Chris, you've been watching the new consoles coming out. What are some of your takes from that?
Yeah, look, I think, we're up to PlayStation 5. I think it's the fifth one in 22 years or something, the new Xbox X and Xbox S as well. They both appear to be successful launches at the moment. They had pre-sales in September that sold out within minutes. They had second wave pre-sales that people will due to get in December that are sold out as well. So, good luck if you want to get one of these for your kids for Christmas and you haven't secured one yet. It's going to be tough, but the way that they do that, the scarcity that they put there at launch is a great marketing tactic. The FOMO is massive. People are paying a lot of money for them on eBay and Marketplace and what have you. But I think there's also some really great collaborations already starting to happen. We've seen Vodafone selling the PS5 on contract, Telstra selling the Xbox. Really interesting different ways to sell it and great ways for those brands to get involved in gaming. There's more classic, simple promotional ideas like the one we've got on screen there. Hungry Jack's giving away 50 PS5s. This is a channel that has got great hype now, will continue to for the foreseeable future, and there's different ways that brands can help leverage that in terms of what they're doing in this space as well. So it's a really exciting one to watch. We haven't seen many new games come out that really push the boundaries of what these new platforms can do. So, again, really exciting to watch. What's your thoughts, Sean?
But the thing is, I think the scarcity piece, like the fact that they are so hard to get a hold of, make the campaigns like Hungry Jack's giving away PlayStation 5s like really appealing. Like, I am going to enter that because I can't, I've tried all the different retailers. I can't get one. And so it becomes that hot ticket, that hot product. So as a marketing tool and a competition opportunity, it's really exciting, and I think keep an eye out. I think it is going to be the product that people are going to use from a competition point of view, and the battle is it's not starting, it's re-engaging. Like the fact that they both brought out the consoles at the same time, they didn't bother dodging each other. Like, no, we're both going at it at the same time. It's very much next gen console wars are going to continue for the next 18 months. It's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, that's right. It's got a long way to play out yet.
So that pretty much wraps up what this was as our first episode. We got through it. Hopefully this thing has recorded correctly. Before we wrap up, because the best rule of promotion is self-promotion, Chris, where can people find you on the internet to reach out to you?
Yeah, look, great to email me directly, Chris at We Are Play Media, but I am Chris Derrick on Twitter, Chris Derrick on LinkedIn. Always happy to chat gaming, esports, the overall ecosystem. So please do reach out.
Exactly. And yes, weareplaymedia.com is where you'll find more info. From this, you can book in a time for a chat. But until next episode, because guess what? We are going to do another episode. You tell the internet and then you commit yourself to doing another episode.
Yep.
My name is Sean Callanan. This has been...
I'm Chris Derrick.
There we go. And we'll figure out our outro eventually. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to this Play Media replay. Remember, these episodes are coming out on the Play Media YouTube channel. You can find that at weareplaymedia.com. As always, if you want to look at the world of video games, gaming, streaming, esports, this is where I'm going to send you to the Play Media work. That's where I'm going to be doing that kind of work. Still be doing everything Sports Geek with clients around digital and activations and the like, but anything in the gaming space will be under the Play Media banner. Go to weareplaymedia.com.